This week, a little bit old franchises back from the dead. Franchises that refuse to die.
I think that's a better way to put it. Refuse to die. Cannot die.
Leatherface does repeatedly refuse to die in this movie.
So today we're talking about the 2022 release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Nice, yeah. You remembered to cut the article. Makes it easier for like Eastern Europeans to remember. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Seems like a very Eastern European movie.
This movie I want to watch.
The first thing that really surprised me about this movie was it was put out by not only Netflix but also another studio, Legendary Entertainment.
Legendary are fairly well known, right? Fairly big company, I think.
Yeah, they got that weird like squiggly logo thing.
Looks like a pin brooch that you'd find in like a, you know, those stores that sell like those like things you light, give off like a scent or something, like hemp or something.
Oh yeah.
Looks like a brooch you would find in there or something. It's like a maze, right? Looks like a maze or something.
Like an incense logo or brooch or something like that. Yeah, I was just surprised about that because usually with Netflix films you don't see like another company listed next to them.
Not films that they've specifically made themselves,
right.
I guess. Right,
yeah.
Right, yeah. So it's a kind of collaboration, I guess.
So Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there have been many Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies since the original in the 70s?
The original movie was released in the mid-70s, yeah. So there have been quite a few remakes of the original story. There's a Naughty's remake. The original movie has a direct sequel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. That movie follows Dennis Hopper trying to avenge Sally and Franklin, his children. He plays like a police sheriff that like crosses borders. He's not from the local area, so the local police don't like him sniffing around.
If this movie is in the same universe as the Netflix movie, I'd assume he was unsuccessful.
He was quite unsuccessful. That one actually reminds me a bit of a Rob Zombie movie, like Devil's Rejects or House of Thousand Corpses. And actually, the actor from those movies is in this one. He plays Leatherface's brother. So I think Rob Zombie like literally cast him because he's in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. What's very interesting about that movie is, do you know The Breakfast Club? That movie, like 90s movie, John Hughes movie,
80s movie, but yeah,
80s movie,
classic.
Yeah. The poster for Texas Chainsaw 2 is like a piss take of that poster. It has the Sawyer family.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's directed by Toby Hooper as well, so he actually made the sequel himself. It's kind of a black comedy, to be honest. It's completely different tonally to the first one.
So I've only seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie and this Netflix one, which is, I guess it bills itself as like a sequel.
I think it's a direct sequel to the first movie. It kind of ignores all the other movies, as far as I can tell. Seems like the plot is just Leatherface has just been hiding out since the 70s. In this like orphanage kind of place.
Yeah. Live in... I don't know when we should go into spoilers. I guess first we should just talk about the premise of the movie.
I mean, the setup is he's been hiding out in this orphanage. Like, that's not really a spoiler. That's kind of the setup to the movie, right?
Yeah. So this group of young people who, like, they're coming from like Austin, Texas, to this town in order to like start a like small community or something like that. Yeah. Driving a fake Tesla. Or as me and my wife were saying last night, a Uso Tesla.
A fake Tesla and like a 90s club that's been made into a bus or something.
Yeah. Like, that aspect of the movie is kind of, like, fuzzy for me. Like,
They're very like, they always got iPhones, they're very like hip.
yeah.
They're not like hipsters, I don't know how to describe them, but just average millennials or something.
Like, woke younglings.
They're very woke, that's for sure. They like cancelling, as we'll later find out. So.
Yeah, the like main cast of characters are quite young. The two leading women, they look like they're like still kids, to be honest. They look like they're under 18.
They do look very young, yeah. That's true, yeah. Even they're sisters, right, I think? Are they sisters?
Sisters or like best friends or something like that.
Yeah, so the girl with black curly hair, who's played by Sarah Yorkin. I've only ever seen her in one other thing. She was in Happy Death Day to You, or the sequel to Happy Death Day.
I've heard of that before. Okay.
It's pretty good, yeah. Yeah, she does look very, like, tomboyish, would you say? Like a young kind of tomboyish kind of girl. She's got like this short cut, like curly hair. But she's a bit different to the rest of the group. Like, she's a bit uneasy about teasing the locals a little bit. At first, they're in a gas station scene. This is right at the beginning of the movie. And this like guy comes up with his like gun showing. He's driving like a pickup truck. He's like, "Why does he need his gun showing? Look at this asshole."
What's he trying to compensate for?
So I think she literally says that. And he overhears them and like goes over to like start something with them. Right?
But in the end, he's like pretty nice about it. He's just like, "Sorry, ma'am. In Texas, we got guns. How do we not buy it?" Something like that.
Don't mean no offense, man. He's kind of a nice guy. He's got like a quiet sort of guy. Don't know any better.
The other leading female character is like this. How would you describe her?
Like an awkward high school teenager. But we know why she's like that. There's a very good reason that she's like that.
How would you describe her?
Socially awkward, a little bit.
Emo is not the right word. Damaged. Damaged, maybe a good way to describe it. And this is not a spoiler, I don't think, because made apparent pretty early on in the movie. She's like the survivor of a school shooting.
Right, yeah, that's what I was alluding to. Yeah. So, she has a very good reason to be kind of damaged. So, she's like, I think she's constantly having flashbacks of it. So, she obviously doesn't trust people easily. But she seems to be like drawn to dangerous people. So, she's drawn to the guy we just mentioned because he has a gun. Maybe she feels protected by that in a way. Yeah, the whole setup is quite weird. Like, these kids are just rolling into this kind of like old Western style saloon town, right? Like, it's got like businesses on either side, but they're all closed down except for this one place, which is an orphanage.
Kind of like a spaghetti western feel to it.
Yeah. And they kind of seem to be there to like rejuvenate the town. I think really what they're doing is just trying to create like their own community or something. I think they literally say they're trying to make a safe space or something. So.
Safe space, oh no.
Ain't that safe, turns out.
Space ain't safe enough for the both of us.
I guess they just didn't realise they were in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But yeah, they meet the owner of the orphanage, and they believe they've like already bought every building in this town. He's got has this folder. I think he's like a famous chef, he says, or something. He's like a restaurateur or something like that.
He and the other like blonde girl are.
Oh, they're a couple, right?
Are chefs.
Chefs.
I don't know if they're famous, but they're like up and coming. Like they're trying to make a name for themselves.
Doesn't the redneck guy, the guy with the gun, No, it's not him. It's the police. The police say that they've heard of him. The police stop them and he says, "I've heard of him."
Oh, okay. So I guess like they're up and coming.
Yeah. Did you? By the way, you're an Alien fan, right?
Yeah.
Did you recognise the policeman that stops them?
From which Alien movie?
Second one, Aliens. He's in Aliens.
Aliens? I've only seen Aliens one time in my life.
Basically, the guy he's like the commander of the team. But he's kind of a pussy. Like he doesn't make decisions. He doesn't fight. He doesn't go in. At the end of the movie, he kind of becomes a hero. Like when they're trying to get out of the alien hive at the start of the movie, Ripley like takes over the truck to like smash into it to rescue them. He's like, "Ripley, what the hell are you doing?"
I'm actually planning on watching that either tonight or sometime this week. So
you're
I'll keep
recognizing
an eye
him.
out.
He's barely changed. It looks like exactly the same guy. How much time has passed since Aliens? That's like an 80s movie.
86.
86.
So, yeah.
He plays the policeman. And yeah, he suggests that he knows them, these two chefs. I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, they go into this orphanage and there's an old lady working there. And she says that actually she still owns this house. So they start to fight about it. And the curly-haired girl is very uneasy about it, right? And has some sympathy, like she doesn't want to kick this old lady out of her house or something. And then she has this weird, like, panic attack or something.
Okay. Yeah, now we're getting into spoiler territory, so...
Well, I guess it's the setup still kind of thing. And then we meet Leatherface himself.
That's right, he's just hanging out in the upstairs bedroom.
So I wrote in my notes, what has Leatherface been doing this entire time? Since the events of the original movie and this movie, what's he been doing? Just like hanging out?
If you just wanted to speculate, from the 70s until now, let's assume he was like in his 20s back then. That would make him pretty old now, right?
Right, yeah.
Like in his 70s, or
Yeah.
around that age, right?
He's definitely not been exercising or anything since then.
I'd assume.
Working on his fashion sense or anything.
I mean, just going further down the spiral of like insanity and occasionally killing other people.
So still getting up to
Yeah.
no good like that.
Maybe more low-key killings, stuff kind of off the radar.
I get the feeling that he wouldn't be able to do that. Because in this movie, he doesn't, like once he gets going, right, inevitably, he doesn't have any sense of stopping or police are going to get me or I've got to go underground again or something.
Right, but in this case, he had like a reason
Right.
to be like batshit insane.
Angry.
Yeah.
Gets pretty angry. Well, without spoiling the movie, inevitably there is a lot of gore in this movie.
Yeah.
So
If I were to summarize this movie into one
how brutal is this
sound, it would probably be or something like that.
Yeah, I found some of the bone snapping parts quite disturbing in this movie.
For me, it was specifically the head crushing scene.
Okay, yeah, the head
Yep.
crushing scene. Yeah,
Yep.
that whole scene is brutal. I think the bus scene.
The bus scene.
It's almost too ridiculous. It's too
Yeah.
insane, that scene.
Again, spoiler, but if you don't want specific details spoiled, skip ahead like a minute, I guess. Leatherface goes onto a bus where they're holding like a party with all like the guests invited by like the main group of people.
They're having like a party,
Yeah.
drinking.
And, like black lights and all that stuff,
Yeah.
like music pumping, shots being.
Like a club or something. It's like
Yeah.
being in a club, basically, on
Yeah.
a bus. Yeah.
So Leatherface, comes in, and everyone's just like staring.
The
And then-
smartphones and the Smirnoff
Yeah.
ices.
And someone says like, "I'm gonna cancel you" or something like that.
They all say it, I think. Like,
Yeah.
You should be cancelled, bro.
Yeah.
And they're all holding their smartphones
Yeah.
up, like
Like live streaming on Instagram or
putting them on
something.
TikTok or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he just straight up massacres like everyone. Yeah.
Does not reject kindly to cancelling. That's for sure.
Yeah. So that scene, it was interesting. it didn't really get to me or anything like that.
I kind of enjoyed seeing like woke douchebags getting chainsawed. Like, I don't know what that says about me, but had some good gore effects. There's like one scene where one girl's trying to like escape out of the window, and you like just straight up chainsaws her in half.
That was in the same scene, yeah.
Or their like guts just spill over the side.
Yeah.
That would look really good in like a death metal video or something. But he goes in there to like, he's like chasing after the two main girls, right? They're his target.
Yeah.
It seems like they're trying to like really focus on the point of Leatherface. Is that once he homes in on a target, everyone between that target kind of better get out of the way. In the original movie, he wants Sally, right? So he just massacres everyone to get to Sally. He kind of homes in on these girls. Do you think it like did anything particularly new with the franchise? Is it just for fans who want to see Leatherface just massacring people? Like, I found it enjoyable on that level. I didn't do anything above that, I don't think.
In my opinion, the original movie was more, I don't want to say enjoyable, because I don't find any of them enjoyable. More effective and more disturbing.
Well, it stays with you.
Yeah, the original one.
Right.
This one,
The new one's not. The original movie is not slick in any way. Like, it really does feel like you're watching kind of real people.
yeah,
They could be that crazy,
yeah,
you know. The sense of danger and like utter darkness and insanity really sticks with you in that original movie. I mean, this movie, it's just entertainment, I think. What did you think about Sally coming back as an old lady? Spoiler alert, Sally.
Was it the same lady, like
a
the same
cool-
actress?
No, it's not the same actress.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that.
She's in Mandy, by the way, that actress.
The actual actress?
That actress is in Mandy.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's the woman who puts like the bug like, on Mandy's neck. The old lady.
Okay.
Lopped off by Nick Cage at the end.
It's crazy evil.
The old Nick Cage loppin'.
Yeah. Well, that's the only other movie I've ever seen her in before.
I thought her inclusion in the movie was good. It helped, link the original to this sequel, especially for fans coming from the original movie.
What do you think about her surviving the particularly brutal, like, chainsaw lift
Okay,
up?
that was a bit far-fetched.
She's still alive for a good, 10 minutes after that?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, obviously the way they set it up before that happens is that she's gonna like come in and like avenge all of her friends and like make right of all the messed up stuff that's happened in her life. To like end the mental haunting and
Yeah.
all that. But
Yeah.
then she gets bested.
she does it.
She gets bested right through the gut.
I guess therefore this movie does ignore Texas Chainsaw 2 because it's Texas Chainsaw 2 kind of implies Sally died because Dennis Hopper can't find her anyway.
I guess I would ignore that because in this one she was like a sheriff, right?
Yeah, she
She
has
had a
like
badge.
she has like a farm and stuff. So
Yeah.
so she's not like hiding from anyone really. She's just waiting for the call.
That's right.
I did find the ending quite satisfying with the classic like spinning the chainsaw around. No, that's an iconic final shot from the last movie.
Yeah.
And that shot is in the second movie actually. Like the second movie follows like a radio DJ, and she ends up like killing one of the Sawyer family, and then she just like spins the chainsaw around. And it goes to like credits. So, you know,
That's a good callback.
iconic kind of. It's kind of, is it fan service? I don't know.
Yeah,
Kind of, I guess.
that would be in fan service territory.
Yeah.
This would be a spoiler, I guess, but the two main women, they survive the ordeal. In the very last scene, they're in their
Fake Tesla.
they're in their fake Tesla.
We sold Tesla.
Yeah, driving away, and then they're just like joking around. one of them's like, "Oh, I think I could probably live here." And, the other one's like, "Yeah, right." And then suddenly they get grabbed by Leatherface, the curly-haired girl, and then her head is decapitated. And he's just holding it like that.
And then he does the chainsaw spin.
He does the...
And then she's
swinging.
like, her sister or friend is damaged girl is like screaming out of the sunroof or something. So it kind of mirrors Sally like screaming in the back of the pickup truck as it's driving away. But this car is on like auto drive or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that all happens in like the last 5 or 10 seconds of the movie. I thought that was kind of, I don't know.
Is that setting up another one? Like Leatherface is still alive.
Well, yeah, obviously setting up another one.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Personally, I found that scene kind of cheap.
I found it cheap and then like kind of got my rocks off to him spinning the chainsaw. And it cuts to like a dubstep version of like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre music. With
Did
like the camera sound effects, the famous song.
Did you watch all the way through the credits?
No, I watched that song. And then,
There's another scene at the very end.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember if I watched that or not.
You probably remember this one if you saw it. So the credits play, and then the very, very, very end of it, it shows Leatherface walking up to what appears to be the original house from the first movie.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Nice. All right.
just walking by himself,
Gone home.
going home.
Well, of course, there's going to be a second one then,
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
it was very obviously set up for that.
I guess it depends how well it does, but as of last week, it was the #1 trending movie in Japan on Netflix. So I saw it.
I watched it last night, and it was number 6 or number 7. Let's talk about the Rotten Tomatoes score.
I don't know the Rotten Tomatoes score. I know the IMDb score is under 5.
Rotten Tomatoes was, for the tomato meter and the critics score, both were like around 30%.
Well, that
Yeah,
low.
yeah.
Wow. That's a bit harsh. I think it's better than that.
I think a lot of the criticisms were, one criticism was the main characters were kind of like eye-rollingly cliche. like too woke, I guess. The second criticism was how Leatherface isn't really as horrifying as he used to be.
I guess in like you could just argue in general the movie isn't as horrifying as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original movie.
Yeah, that I can agree on.
I didn't expect that from it, to be honest.
I went into the movie not really expecting anything, to be honest.
I kind of got what I expected. It was slightly better than I expected. Just slightly. I don't think it's the worst Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel.
Probably my biggest complaint, and again, I don't know if I even can complain about this, but I don't really connect to like young girls, like as like the protagonists, being like a 33-year-old dude. But I mean, most horror movies feature like
Young
teenagers,
girls,
right?
Right.
So
I guess they're 20-somethings, right? Mostly. Curly black hair girl must be a 20-something.
yeah.
And her friend is like a teenager, I guess. So 17-year-old or something.
Either way, to me they look like high school age.
I have one question.
Yeah.
How does the mask stay on his face?
That shit's sticky, dude. Just kind of sticks on.
Right.
Imagine like if you were to put some peanut butter on some latex and just like slap it on your skin. It's gonna stick there, right? Probably.
For that long?
I mean, in the sun, it's gonna get a little cakey, right?
Okay.
I'd imagine.
So the sunlight glued it to his face? Or
Yeah.
something. Okay.
And we're talking about like human flesh, so
Human skin.
yeah. So it's gonna get kind of sticky. Might dry on there.
I do hope the people at Harvard University are like, checking this right now. Just cutting someone's face off and just seeing how long it stays on.
For science.
I ask because like whenever you buy like a Halloween mask or something, I mean they always like move around or fall off. Right? It's very hard to like keep it in the same place. But this dude's mask is like just stays. It's not really a mask. Someone's face just stays on the whole time.
I think it's that good old-fashioned natural adhesive.
It bugged me for the most of the movie. Like even when he was killing like the kids, I was like, "How's his mask stay on?"
I want to mention one thing before we move on.
Sure.
I think it was a missed opportunity. Granted, this would have made more sense if he actually died. In the second to last scene in the movie, like where the two girls are like fighting him off for the last time, and he falls into the water, like supposedly dead. He falls and he sinks. I was really hoping only like his flesh mask would float to the top.
See, yeah, like, how did it stay on?
Yeah.
Surely it would come off in that situation.
Yeah.
Right?
I was expecting it to like float to the top and it would zoom in just on the flesh mask.
Oh, it could be like the T-1000's face. At the end of Terminator 2, like
Something like that.
Just melts apart.
Yeah.
They could even have the same music.
That would have been really badass. But
Then
if
that means he's dead, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Once his mask comes off, that's over. It's over. I mean, you could get another one, but they're kind of escape because he's not going to reveal his face, is he? He's not going to do the spinning thing with no mask on. So.
right. They chose the option that gives them more financial
Fan service.
fan service too.
Yeah.
I was thinking more income in the future.
Sure. Netflix is a business. I believe.
Yeah. Yep.